Us, how are the devil are you? It is a Tuesday night. I've had me dinner. What better time is there to spend about 28 or 29 minutes with one of the greatest bands of all time, The Damned? The answer is none to that rhetorical question. So tonight, let's have a look at The Damned from 1977 through to their new album that came out in 1986. Now, I've only seen The Damned 3 times in my life, so before we get to the records, let's sort of have a little talk about that, because there's a few anecdotes and tales to be told in there, I think. So the first time I saw them was back in England, and the year was 1992, and I remember thinking, well, at that time, well, I better go and see them because they're getting a bit old, aren't they? So there might not be another chance to go and see them, so we better go and see them before they sort of stop playing anymore or whatever. So we were sort of quite excited to go and see them at that time, but obviously we were totally wrong. We totally underestimated the lads, didn't we, there? Because they're still playing today, all these years later, so we were a bit naive, weren't we, to think that they were going to break up quite quickly after that. But anyway, I went to see them in the town called Bath, where I was living, and they played at this really small club called Moles Club. The Moles Club was sort of a bit of an exclusive sort of place. You had to be a member to get in, so I'd already sort of gone, and you had to interview to be a member of this club to go and watch bands. I remember going for my interview and sort of feeling a bit intimidated. They were sort of asking me questions about sort of what job did I do and what music did I like and this, that and the other, and it was quite intimidating because I just wanted to go and see a few bands. But anyway, I passed the interview with flying colours, and I had my membership card, so I was all ready and excited to go and see The Damned. And it was I showed up on the night, and I sort of went to the door and said me name. And oh, well, no, he's already gone. And I said, well, no, he hasn't, because that's me. And they said, well, no, sorry, look at the list, your name's crossed off, he's already got in. And I started to get a bit sort of irritated about that. So I sort of pulled out some identification that I had in my pocket, and there was a bit of a kerfuffle, but eventually they let me in. And I found out it was a cheeky lad I was working with. I was a sort of kitchen manager of a Pizza Hut then, and there was a younger lad than me called Kieran. He had a big sort of curly Mohican. He said he liked punk, but he only knew the Dead Kennedys and The Damned. I'm not going to judge him about that, but he'd only gone, and because he wasn't a member of Moles, he hadn't sort of bothered to go to the interview like me. So he'd sort of gone up there beforehand and sort of said he was me and got in. So I was quite angry with him, and he sort of ruined my night for about 5 minutes, but I soon got over it and went down to the front. It's a 150 capacity club, really, really tiny. I mean, you can imagine how small that is. And on the night, they sort of had Paul Gray playing bass for the first bit, and then Algie Ward came on for the second bit. And I felt a bit silly later because me and my mates were sort of shouting Algie for the first half, because we thought it was Algie Ward, but it wasn't Algie Ward, it was Paul Gray. So when Algie came on, I said, oh, that's Algie. Stupid, but never mind. Well, apparently, so I sort of couldn't remember the year exactly what that gig sort of took place. So I had a little look on the internet, and thanks to the power of electricity, I could track down the date, and it was actually I couldn't track down the date, but it was, yes, I did, it was November 19th, a Thursday night. What a great night to go and see The Damned. 1992, and it was Moles Club, and some bloke called, what's his name, I forget his name now, anyway, Dave, I think his name is, and he wrote a book called The Damned, the Chaos Years book or something like that. And he wrote about the gig that I went to in this book, and this is what he said about it. He said, the show in Bath was at the Moles Club, a very small club with 150 capacity. As per usual, the band mixed with the fans inside and outside the venue, signing autographs and sharing drinks. At showtime, Captain wandered on stage wearing an England football cap and threw a plate of sandwiches straight at the audience, always cheeky. He's not sensible. He's not a captain either, but he still calls himself Captain Sensible. And then, although most of them were thrown straight back at him, don't remember that, it wasn't me. The intimate gig was great fun, although in the ensuing chaos, Captain's amp packed up halfway through the set. Don't remember that either. What else? And due to the small size of the overcrowded venue, it became incredibly hot and uncomfortable in no time. So the staff began to throw pints of water over the crowd in a vain attempt to cool everyone down. There was no stage really either, so fans were being pushed and shoved into the band at times. Quite a nice little write-up there of that gig. It was a good gig. And I probably thought, well, that was the sort of last time I was ever going to see him. And so fast forward quite a few years later, well, the year was, I've got it written down here, 2005, and I went to see him here in Osaka, Japan, a sort of medium-sized place called Umeda. It's Club Quattro, isn't it? Was the name of the place? Sort of medium-sized place. It was a great gig. I've sort of written a set list down, so I found it, but it's so long. Just takes too much time. So saw him in 2005, and after we went to this club called Rock Rock. I've talked about that before. Went there and sort of Wacko was playing Motorhead there, wasn't he? But anyway, I sort of met the captain there, and we had a few tipples. That was quite a good night, and that was 2005. And then I saw him again in 2012, also in Osaka, a place called Namba Hatch, and they were great. Again, the set list's a little bit different, but they did play sort of all the classics on both nights, so that was a lot of fun. I can tell you, I think they've been back again since then, but I think Dave was a little bit sick, and so the captain was sort of the front man of those gigs, I heard today on the internet. Well, then let's get into the records. They didn't have that many, did they, from 77, 86, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 studio LPs. So let's have a look at them in order, but I've got a few bonus goodies at the end we can sort of have a little look at after that. So the year was 1977, and there was a lot of punk records that came out on that year, wasn't there? There's a couple of Ramones albums, of course, the Pistols, Nevermind the Bollocks, what else? The Vibrators, first LP, and I've written it down, the Clash, first LP, Dead Boys, LP, but none of them really sort of compare to the Damned's first LP, do they? Of course, I'm talking about this masterpiece, Damned. Now, this record is so much more ferocious and faster, and it's altogether quite a different beast, isn't it, to the sort of bands I've just mentioned, or sort of, in comparison, quite plodding and sort of rock and rolly, weren't they, really? I mean, the Damned were just completely different. Fast, it's sort of proto-hardcore, can we say that? I think we can. I've just said it, so that's too late now. But I mean, it's just, I mean, it's perfect. It's almost perfect from sort of start to finish. Feel Your Pain is a little bit dodgy, and I'm not a huge fan of Fish, but apart from that, it's sort of almost a sort of perfect debut LP, isn't it? And of course, a great cover, and this is the Japanese pressing. I'm quite chuffed to have the Japanese pressing because it sounds great and it looks really nice as well. So, first album on the mighty Stiff Records, of course. This is on Victor, a major label, a major Japanese label that came out in Japan. And of course, we all love this record, don't we? But is it their best? Well, let's have a little look. We'll find out, won't we? So, as you know, they followed this up, the next record, which was, just in my mind, it's a bit of a step down, wasn't it, really? Let's be honest. Of course, I'm talking about this one, Music for Pleasure, and I think it was rushed, wasn't it? Because they both came out in 1977, and it was a step down. Obviously, there is some really good songs in it, but yeah, it doesn't really sort of match up to what came before or what came after. And they don't really play that many songs from this record sort of live, do they? And obviously, there's a few good songs in it. Problem Child's good. Don't Cry Wolf, that was a single, wasn't it? But yeah, they must have been pretty busy, eh? The lads in those days. I mean, two 2 full-length albums in 1 year, so you can't really blame them. But oh, they redeemed themselves pretty jolly quickly, didn't they? Because they followed this up with the pile driving record, which we know as Machine Gun Etiquette. Again, great Japanese pressing out. Which do you like? Do you like Damned, Damned, Damned the best, or do you like this one better? For me, I think this just has the edge. I think they sort of developed the songwriting a little bit, sort of some more melodies going on. I think sort of Captain's sort of love of the 60s pop and everything was creeping in more in the songs and everything. It sounds better. It's sort of a bit beefier production on it. So for me, I mean, it's hard to choose, isn't it, really? They're sort of almost even Stevens, but you know, if I had to choose, I would I'd go for this one, really, because I mean, it's sort of a classic, really, isn't it? It's a masterpiece. It's a sort of desert island, except these, there's always sort of one little bit, sort of bit of a dodgy song in there. For me, it's I suppose These Hands is a bit of a sort of clowny song, isn't it? I'm not so keen on that, but it doesn't spoil the overall enjoyment that this record always brings. Masterpiece, The Damned, Machine Gun Etiquette from 1980. I wrote down. Is that true? Don't know. I reckon it's 1978 or 1979. I was lying in me notes. It pays not to take notes, doesn't it? I think we'll stop doing that. There you go. We'll put that down there. And then next came what I think is my favourite Damned record of all time. Of course, I'm talking about the amazing Strawberries with the brilliant cover with the because they had a sort of scratch and sniff version of this. I don't think that was one of them, but I know this is pink or red wine, isn't it? And on the back, sort of the pig there, sort of many strawberries were harmed in the making of this record, I can tell you. But this is when, for me, they really perfected the sort of 60s influences, the punk stuff and the MC5 stuff, and it's sort of, they got it melded sort of perfectly together. The songwriting's amazing. In my mind, there's not one bad song on it. I think some people sort of might disagree with me on that, but for me, it's one of those records that when you put it on and you play it, you sort of can't think of anything else to play after it, because nothing quite sort of captures the mood that this sort of record brings. And so it's really hard to sort of think what to play after. So usually I either play it again or I play the next record in me pile down there. But brilliant. Ignite, General, Strange on the Town, Doesn't Go. The dog, I love the dog with the sort of those sound effects in the background. It's just, yeah, it's sort of perfect record in my opinion, and definitely my pick for the best Damned record of all time. The Damned, Strawberries from 1982, UK 82. This version's on Legacy Records. I'm not sure if it's the sort of original or not. I think it is. Yeah, I think so. And yeah, absolutely wonderful record by the lads there, Strawberries. Then, now some people might sort of say, well, Analog, the next record is quite a little bit better than Strawberries, and well, you know, you might be right, but it's also a masterpiece, of course. And of course, I'm talking about this, the Black Album. Oh, none more black. It's a black mirror, isn't it? Look. Oh, look, it's black mirror. You can see everything behind me, and then it's black on the back as well. That's crazy. Black mirror there. And but this is the single LP version. It's a bit useless, isn't it? Nice picture of the lads there. So, of course, it goes without saying that I've got the proper double LP with the sort of proper sleeve there. Nice UK original. Actually, no, it's not. It's in Italian, but It's an original Italian pressing on Chiswick Distribuzione Dischi Ricordi SPA. I wonder why I've got the Italian version. That's a bit strange, isn't it? And then, of course, the classic picture on the back. That's really 60s sort of looking, isn't it? Captain's got the sort of bowl cut and everything. And this is where they sort of went even more experimental, because the Captain, he sort of loves prog rock, doesn't he? And I think Dave loves the sort of rock and roll and the sort of show tunes and everything. So this is sort of epic, isn't it? It's got the sort of more punkish Drinking About Me Baby, and I've got Hit or Miss. That's a classic, isn't it? Hit or Miss. They don't play that live enough. I'm pretty sure they didn't play that live. And then, of course, the Epic's History of the World Part 1, and especially Curtain Call. So it's got the live tracks on it too. So if you're going to get a copy and you haven't got it, make sure you get the sort of double LP version. I love that. So it's starting to look a bit sort of gothic-y, is it not? A tad gothic-y, a little bit. But there we go. It is difficult to choose, isn't it? It's so hard to choose, but I think Strawberries is definitely the sort of one that I pluck out most from the shelf. So I went with Strawberries as my favourite. Let's not sort of dwell on that too much. They're all great records. Now, next, I think after this, old Captain sort of exited the band, didn't he, and went off and did his solo stuff. What do you think about the solo stuff? I'm sort of quite a bit of a fan with him. It's sort of perfect pop music, isn't it? And you had the backup singers from the Dolly Mixture, who are sort of great, sort of not garage, sort of pop punky band, great sort of band in there. I really love that single "What." He sort of raps, doesn't he? It's a bit annoying, but it's really fun. The video's great, so I always like that. And he was I didn't like Happy Talk, but I really like "What," and there's a few others that I quite enjoy. He was sort of big, sort of pop star in England for a while. I think he did quite well for himself during those years. But when he was off doing that, the Damned sort of changed direction quite a bit, didn't he? I think Dave sort of got his gothy ways and got his sort of gothy paws on the band, and they sort of changed quite a bit, didn't they? And they came out with this record. Of course, I'm talking about Phantasmagoria, with the very gothic cover. A complete change of direction. Very gothic, sort of gothic pop, really, isn't it? It's not heavy or anything. But I like this record. It's nice to put on. Nice white. Oh, look at that. Nice white vinyl. It's nice to put on late at night. Sort of turn the lights down low. Maybe have a few shots of absinthe or something like that. Some dark chocolate. Wearing a black t-shirt. And yeah, you can sort of really get into the gothic-y vibes of Phantasmagoria. And they sort of got quite big, didn't they? The Damned as well. They had a sort of hit single, of course, Eloise, which is not it's not on the record, but same time frame, isn't it? That's a great single, great song, cover version, of course, but Damned did a great job. So yeah, so I do like this record, even though obviously it's sort of a big change of direction for the lads back there in 1985. And then the year after, they see this for me. This is sort of the Damned's new album for me, because I've not bought anything after that. Is that good? That's a bit bad, really. And I've heard a sort of few tracks here and then, and they have played newer songs sort of live. But I'll be honest with you, I sometimes sort of went to the bar when those came on. I shouldn't really say that, should I? But I did. So 1986, this album, Anything. It's really different, isn't it? Sort of really colourful artwork and everything compared to Phantasmagoria. And I love the title track. It's a real sort of swagger to it, hasn't it? The title track, Anything. And of course, Alone Again, or which I didn't know was a cover version for ages. And of course, it's a cover version of the great by the great band I love, 60s sort of psychedelic pop band. Love. So they did a sort of great. I love that song. I love the video. Check it out on YouTube. It's great. The lads sort of dressed up like a sort of like cowboys or something like that, or Mexicans, not sure. But look, they were looking sort of quite saucy, weren't they, in 1986? But it's a decent record. Obviously, a bit of a step down from the earlier stuff, but still an enjoyable listen. Very easy on the ears is old Anything. Well, that's the end of the old studio records, but I did say I have a few little sort of bonuses, so let's have a sort of little look at the extras, shall we? So obviously this came out early on. It's the Best of the Damned on Ace Records. It's got all the hits from the first 2 records on it. So if you see this cheap, it's definitely worth picking up. There's another great record from the Damned. And then the Peel Sessions. Yes, just 4 songs. Sick of Being Sick, Stretcher Case, Fan Club, and Feel the Pain. Track listing is not as good as it could be, is it? But of course, great sound because it's Peel Session. But a bit disappointing with the sort of the track list on this, but it's pretty good, isn't it? Pretty good record. Nevertheless, and then live album. It's great. Sort of got a Black Album feel to the artwork. It's a reunion show in 1988. So they were sort of in the it's weird, isn't it? They were sort of the Phantasmagoria sort of era, but they did all the old songs because Captain Sensible came back into the band, didn't he? So if you sort of look at the track list there, it's all the old classics, isn't it? That must have been a good gig, mustn't it? At the London Town and Country Club, 13th of June 1988. So it would have been 4 years after this sort of took place that I went and saw him in that tiny club in Bath, 150 people. Now, this is pretty cool. It's a Lively Arts, but it's not a single. It's a full LP. It's a Japan only thing. It's sort of 12-track EP. It's got sort of various B-sides and also the tracks off the original sort of Lively Arts single too. I don't know if this is sort of collectible or anything, but it's got the same sort of artwork, well, exactly the same artwork as the 10-inch and the single. So Japan only Lively Arts LP. And then of course this is a standalone version of the live tracks from the Black Album double album version on Big Beat Records. Live, a special gig played for members of the Damned fan club at Cheverton, 1980. I never really liked the sort of cover to this too much. It sort of looks a bit sort of cheap, doesn't it? But it's a pretty decent live record, nevertheless. Oh, what's up next? Oh, yes, it's a nice 12-inch single. It's great. Oh, yeah, look at that. The History of the World, Part 1. It's a great song. And it says, taken from the forthcoming album, the Black Album. So this came out before the album came out. It's got the same picture as the Black Album there on the back, hasn't it? With I Believe the Impossible and Sugar and Spite on the flip side. And then we just had a look at the Lively Arts LP, didn't we? This is a sort of standard 10-inch version, 3-track 10-inch. I always like the artwork for this. I thought it's very punky, innit? Punky artwork. Yes. Lively Arts 10-inch record. Next, a small stack of 7-inch singles. Now for me, the Damned sort of made the perfect sort of punk 7-inch. Usually 2 songs, A-side amazing, B-side amazing, bang, bang, bang. Perfect punk singles. Of course, this one, masterpiece. Neuros and The Help, Beatles cover. Of course, on Stiff Records, one of the early ones. It's very nice. It's a classic, obviously. And then Love Song and Neuros with the Rat Scabies cover. They've got, as a cover for all the members, isn't there? I think so. Is that right? I've got the Motorhead No Class one with all 3 of the lads, but I've only got the Rat Scabies cover of Love Song. Love Song, Suicide, and Noise, 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 3-track EP. Rager. Not very interesting to look at. I like the design though. It's simple. It's not picture sleeve, but it looks nice. Yes, it's Problem Child and You Take My Money, produced by the magnificent Nick Mason on Stiff Records from 1977. Of course, the track comes from the Music for Pleasure album, doesn't it? Smash It Up on Chiswick. Smash It Up, backed with Burglar. I love that picture sleeve. It's sort of obviously taken from the same photo sessions as the Machine Gun Etiquette album, isn't it? It's great. But of course, they pretty much always play this song as the sort of final encore. In fact, when I saw them in Japan twice, they played Smash It Up as the sort of last encore. Both times. It's always good fun, isn't it? It's a great song. Oh, what's this? Yes, Nero's Neat single, sort of weird, stiff reissue, but with sort of no picture sleeve, so it's not that interesting to look at. But of course, amazing A side and B side again. Lively Arts 7-inch. We've seen. I think we've had enough of this, haven't we? We've seen it. This is the third time now. Lively Arts with the great cover. And oh, of course, similar cover because it comes from the same record, from the same album. So yeah, got the White Rabbit, the cover version of White Rabbit and Rabbit and Seagull. This is a German thing on Chiswick, but came out in Germany. Sort of same stripy cover, wasn't it? As this one. Wait for the Blackout. What a masterpiece of a song. And of course, it has Captain Sensible on the softies with his Jet Boy, Jet Girl on the back. Look at that great picture of the captain on the back, and then the sort of picture which is similar to the Black Album sort of photography, isn't it? Beautiful song. Is it a dream? No, it isn't. It's reality, unfortunately. And yeah, of course, this is from the Phantasmagoria album, 1985. It's got Secret of Dreams on the B-side. It's a nice black and white sleeve to go along with the sort of gothic image that they had going on at the time. And then, of course, now we're up to the Anything record. They put out a couple of singles from the Anything record. This one, Thanks for the Night, backed with Nasty. Oh, they played Nasty. That's weird. When I went to see them, they played Nasty, I think, the first time I saw them in Japan, which is sort of quite a surprise song to play. I like the cover of that. The Damned. And Thanks for the Night. And to finish up with Gigolo. Oh, limited edition coloured vinyl. What colour is it? Let's have a little look. It is yellow. MCA, the Portrait on the B-side, and Gigolo on the A side. I think it's got a little bit of a poster sleeve too. Oh, yes, yeah, oh, yes. It's a nice poster sleeve of the lads in the middle. Well, that was it. It did end up taking about 28 minutes, as I quite rightly predicted. It's a good time. I love The Damned. They're one of my sort of favourite punk bands, and they are really original. They do sort of stand head and shoulders above sort of all the other punk bands of the era. I think they were sort of faster. They had all the sort of 60s influences and everything. Sort of very unique and special band. I love them. I'm a big fan. I sort of hope they do come back to Japan again, because I know they are still really good live band. So I'd love to see him one more time. Just as I said in 1992, I'd love to see him one more time, and I did. So it goes to show, never say never. So until next time, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, stay healthy and stay clean.